It is time for another special edition of Litter Media Live. I'm your host, Dan Ramey, and to my left, I have Doug Blue and also Brian Knoles. They are with the Ohio Pyrotechnic Arts Guild, and they are the guys who make sure we enjoy the fireworks in Chillicothe. And we're going to talk about this year's show coming up in just a moment, but first, these words from Classic Brands.
Are you looking for a beer that satisfies your thirst and love of country? Armed Forces Brewing Company brews beer for patriots. Celebrate freedom with every sip. Armed Forces Brewing Company. Freedom never tasted so good.
We have worked off and on together for a number of years now. If it's been through the radio station preparing a soundtrack for your shows, but I have been fortunate to be at ground zero with you guys several times. Watching your work before what everybody sees up in the sky is absolutely incredible. Thank you for what you do.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah. Doug, you and I have talked extensively about setting up the shells and everything, making sure it's all laid out.
Are you looking for a
show.
beer that satisfies your thirst and love of country?
This is what happens when you bump into the mouse. Apologize. But strategically placing your areas where you're going to launch from and everything, what all goes into a show? I mean, we're going to see this on July 4th, but you've been planning for a long time to make this happen.
Yes. Really, it starts with the product you're going to be using in the show, the types of shells. Very important to this show is the soundtrack that Christina Wolford at WKKJ has been kind enough to do for several years for us.
I think about 20, yeah.
And she just completed that last week. We have the soundtrack. Gentleman in our club, Grant Miller, spends a lot of time placing shells, listening to the music over and over again, doing the timing, choreographing the show, so that if you're listening to the show on WKKJ, you can actually watch the fireworks with the music and make it an enjoyable evening.
And if you are planning on doing that, don't listen to it on the iHeartRadio app. The reason we say that is there's about a 12-second delay, and then you'll say, well, this isn't syncing up at all. So use a regular radio if you want to experience the fullness of the music with what you're seeing up in the sky. Keep that in mind.
Yes.
I have insider information on that. But how many people does it take to do this? I mean, is it more than just pushing a button?
We were very fortunate in the club that we have a number of members who come down and help with the setup of the show the day before, placing all the racks, ensuring that they're stable and safe. We work hand in hand with the Chillicothe Fire Department, who also comes down and does inspections. Safety is the most important thing here with any fireworks display, even if it was a backyard display. Mm-hmm. And we're very fortunate that we get a large group of club members that come down and help with this show.
Yeah. It's usually close to, 20, 30 people?
20 to 30 typically.
Yep.
Yeah. It's been neat to watch them work because they're like worker bees, just putting things together. And then I like when it's almost showtime, everybody goes and selects a spot where they want to watch the show. It's like you put all this work into it, now let's go see it happen.
That's the beauty of electrically fired, yes. Yeah, in the past, if your hand's firing the show, you don't get to see anything. Yeah, I mean, your job's to shoot the shells, and you can't sit there and even watch what the effect is. So, yes. And this year we've got a new computer system that we will be firing Chillicothe. This will be our first show, so we're anxious to put that to the test. But it is very nice to be able to sit back and actually watch what you spent almost a year to prepare for.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. You have to have great anticipation. Plus, also, man, I hope this pulls off the way we designed it to happen.
Yeah, last year went extremely well as far as the show did. Anytime you do a wired show, there's always that chance that something doesn't go. You're working with technology. You're always fearful that something is going to fail. I can honestly say over the years, I am most nervous until that first shell goes up in the air and goes off.
I know when we talked last year, we discussed about the level of money it takes to put on a good show. And were there 10,000 rounds that went off in the finale last year?
With the cakes and the number of shells, yeah, it's close to 9,000 shells just in the finale alone.
That's incredible. But as we watched it take off, and I wish I would have prepared to let you see what it looked like, you can go to our YouTube channel and see what last year's display was like. It seemed like it grew in intensity and just got stronger, brighter, louder, and then just stopped. And you could hear the crowd just, that has to be satisfying.
Yeah, especially when it stops all at once and you don't have stray shells. Last year was a great year, and I think this year is going to be as well or better than last year. I mean, we got a great group of people, and we all do it because we're from Chillicothe, and we want to do it for our hometown. I mean, we could shoot many different places, but this is where we choose to shoot.
Yeah, you are sporting Hamburg Fireworks displays here today on your shirts. They've been instrumental in making this happen in a great way, haven't they?
Oh, Hamburg, yeah. Our club, the Ohio Pyrotechnic Art Guild, and Hamburg have a great relationship. They appreciate us. We do a lot of shows for them, and we appreciate them because they make it easy on us. They give us extremely good product for Chillicothe. I mean, they know what we put into the show. So, I can't speak high enough for it. It's a family-owned company out of Lancaster, and I can't speak highly enough of Hamburg and our relationship as a club with them because they are terrific people to shoot for, and it sure makes it a lot easier for us to put on a good show.
I know a few years ago when you made a presentation to the Chillicothe Rotary Club at noontime, displaying what the shells are like, giving people an idea of what needed to be shot to put on a good show. We had a budget at one point in time of like $15,000 to $20,000, and that you've brought product with you today. Show us what we could have gotten for $15,000 in that budget.
Well, it all comes down to volume more than anything. First of all, you could take this shell out because that's not going to happen on a $15,000 show. Yeah. Typically what we shoot, and at Chillicothe still, would be from a 3-inch shell up to the 6-inch shell. And the 6-inch shell is probably the best shell we shoot. I mean, it's a large shell, and we shoot a lot of them. So, Doug and I have done private shows. We've shot 16-inch shells before. So I don't have one to show you today, but it weighs about 75 pounds for one shell.
It's like the biggest thing you've ever seen.
Close. And with fireworks, setbacks are important. For each shell, this is let's just use a 4-inch for example. 70-inch, you have to stay back 70 feet per inch of shell. Typically now most fire departments require 100 feet per inch of shell, so you need a 400-foot setback for a 4-inch shell. Yeah. So for the 8-inch shells we shoot, you need a minimum of 8-inch shells. So we'd like to shoot 10-inch shells. We'd like to shoot 16-inch shells, but it's just not feasible. But to put it in perspective, red, white, and boom, 6 inches is their biggest shell. So we technically actually shoot larger shells than red, white, and boom. Not more, but actual physically a larger shell. So
and that makes a difference, doesn't it?
It does make a difference.
Because when you've got the sky is your parchment, it's going to be something that you just want to put that portrait up there as best you can.
And in Chillicothe, the crowd is very spread out. The shopping centers are packed in the park. So we try to get the larger shells, as many as possible as we can afford, and for everybody to get a view of the show.
So we up the budget to $50,000, $60,000. You can afford to shoot the one that you set aside?
More of those, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And more of everything. And I would like to thank the Chillicothe Noon Rotary because they assumed the fundraising, and I know the city is happy also. The city does everything they can do, but it's nice to have a group that does the fundraising, and they do a fantastic job. And all the sponsors that kick in, we've got some terrific sponsors, and we try to give them, the best bang for their buck, literally, for the show.
Right. Those sponsors, by the way, are Adena Health, also Homeland Credit Union, Petland, and I think I hit the major ones there. We are going to be visited by your brother, Bill, and also Mayor Luke Feeney next week to talk more in depth about some of the financing in that regard. But we wanted to talk to the guys that are going to be making the show happen. And you two have been great representatives of OPAG. Every time I see you, something blows up. It's kind of cool.
Well, Doug and I have been shooting shows, backyard shows, for I don't know how many years now.
Yeah.
Well, 1989.
Yeah. So we've done a lot of things. We started out, Doug and his dad built our first firing board back in '89, and it's been all, well, I'll say downhill from there. I don't know if that's appropriate or not, but it's been a fun journey, I will say that.
Yeah. And I know when you were here last year, Bill, we talked about how you put on shows at your dad's place and everything. Buzz Knoles, by the way, is his dad. And those were nice, intimate things that started growing and almost getting out of hand as far as people coming to watch, wasn't it?
Yeah, we had to stop.
Yeah.
It was intended, for family and close friends and ourselves, just but there were over 2,000 people there the last show in our backyard. So it was very nice. I mean, we like to share what we do, but that is when we decided that, hey, it's time to stop this and start doing a bigger show, where everybody can come and see it.
Because not everybody can fit 2,000 people in your backyard.
No, and we would spend an entire week, there was 5 of us, setting this show up, and it was, sun up to sundown, and it's kind of nice having the group we do now, the club, with the amount of people, and it's easier on us, actually.
Truly a labor of love that these guys do, and they put it on for our entertainment. Describe for us, if you would, some of the fireworks we'll see take off. I mean, we're all familiar with the ones that look like the big puff balls and that sort of thing, the little sparkles that trail out. Can you give us an idea of what we're expecting to see this time around?
Well, you'll see, numerous fireworks effects. You'll see chrysanthemums, willow shells, peonies. Me personally, I work on the finale, so I like salutes. So I like noise.
And those are the big ones that
noise.
Just
Yeah.
go right through your chest.
That's right. That's what makes a finale right there. But there's a lot of the willow shells, just kind of, when they break, they hang in the air and just kind of hang there, and they're great. And a lot of the 6 and the 8s especially, a lot of those will be a willow-type shell. So, they hang there for a few, 5-6 seconds. At least you get your, more bang for your buck on those. But they're beautiful. I mean, they're all beautiful. But.
I will tell you from the experience I've had with these guys, the first year when you allowed me to come down and really put on what you do, you had the wall of fire. And that bad boy could be felt along the flood wall. And people that were sitting at like the swimming pool and some of the parking lots, you didn't get to see that wall of fire, but you may have seen the glow of the wall of fire. The place to watch this display is on the flood wall. You can't ask for a better seat in the house.
Yeah. And we did stop doing, those are actually fuel mines. Great effect, but it's just so difficult with parking, to get people on that end of the flood wall. So we do some fronts now, which is like a wall of effects, but we won't be doing the big balls of fire this year because it's just not enough people could actually see it, to make it worth. We spend that money, on the aerial shells that, where everybody gets to see them. But it's a great effect, and we do it on other shows. And if you come to any of our other shows, you'll see it somewhere. Yeah, because it's one of our favorite effects.
Now, we're talking specifically about the Independence Day fireworks, but you guys have done a lot of the fireworks displays that are around the 4th of July that maybe people aren't aware of.
Yes, we shoot the Chillicothe Country Club. It's a private show in Waverly, but obviously the audience there in Waverly, if they go to the park there in Waverly, can enjoy that show as well. It's a very nice show.
We did the VA's 100th anniversary a couple weeks ago. We did the fireworks for that. Fairgrounds, we do the Ross County Fair. Pretty much, aside from the paints, Pyrotechnic does the paints game. They do a great job. We pretty much do about everything in Ross County, other than the paints game. And like I said, we did do the 100th anniversary one because that was kind of that wasn't just a paints game. That was a celebration, for the VA itself. And Hamburg ended up, doing that show. So,
about how many a year do you do?
Too many.
As the Ohio Pyrotechnics Arts Guild.
Well, we have 2 of them on the 29th. We'll do around 6 just around the 4th this year. Like I said, we do fairs. We did the Columbus Clippers last year. We shot the fireworks for there. Hamburg has that contract, and we'll be doing that again this year. A couple shows in Columbus up there. We've done, I don't even know where, we've done shows in Jackson and Port. We used to do the Portsmouth show, and we've done the Parker Roses in Columbus. So that was the second biggest show up there. We did it that year. So we've been around, but like I said, we wanted to get back to Chillicothe and concentrate on our home turf here. So.
And last October, you did something that no one's done before in a parade on purpose. And that was a display that happened right there at the corner of Paint and Main Street, and then down on Main Street, 2 different locations from the float.
That was his harebrained idea. So I'll let him, Doug can explain this one to you.
So last year we got an idea of doing close proximity on a parade float. And of course, Chillicothe with the Halloween parade, with the JC's as a sponsor, was kind enough to give us permission, and of course along with the Chillicothe Fire Department and the mayor, basically we put together a pyro float. We shot probably 400 items off that float through the parade route. It was a very big success. I think everyone enjoyed it. We enjoyed putting the float together and designing the show and the lighting. It just turned out as you couldn't ask for anything better. I think everyone enjoyed it. We certainly had a good time doing it. And yes, it was a harebrained idea.
How do you test something like that before it actually happens?
We worked with Hamburg Fireworks and got samples of all the product, and we actually shot it for the fire department, so they had an idea of what this is going to look like. Because with close proximity fireworks, the crowd can be 15 feet away, and we wanted everyone to be comfortable with what we were doing. We got the buy-in from the fire department and from the JC's as the sponsor of the parade itself. And so everyone was satisfied that this could be done safely. We also worked hand in hand with Hamburg Fireworks, who uses this product as well in a number of their events. I can't say this enough. We are all about safety. We want to be safe. We want the crowd to be safe. So, shooting pyro in a parade with the number of people around that float, we were a little nervous. We were comfortable with what we were shooting.
We're not sure that that's been done before. Maybe somewhere in the world it probably has been, but there was a lot of planning that went into that. And like Doug said, the fire department, also the Three Amigos, we shot off the 50 West Brewing Company downstairs, downtown, the rooftop there, and the Ross County Commissioners let us shoot off the LCMB building. So we did little mini shows off those. So there was definitely a community involvement with this one, but we didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, we knew what it was supposed to do, but until it happened, we're just sitting there saying, crossing our fingers. And
it almost goes back to until that first shell goes up, right? And
yes.
Did you have that feeling when you're going down Paint Street, just waiting for that first one to go off?
Well, what made this even a little bit more complicated was we had manual firing of product during the parade route. And then while we're doing that, a club member was working on the music segment, which was all choreographed. So the lighting, the fireworks, and the music were all synced together. So when we got to that point, in the parade route, that's where the fingers really got crossed. Was this going to go?
Right. And I know in talking to people that saw the show, they were just mesmerized by what was happening in front of them. I was operating the Litter Media drone and keeping an eye on it from about 150, 200 feet in the air. It was cool to watch it, and I'm like watching on my controller, and I'm thinking I'm watching something being bombed right now. I was watching CNN or something of a war zone, but the activity was fantastic.
I think the first fireball that went off surprised a lot of people because these were large fireballs. Now, these were not fuel mines. These were, once again, close proximity effects, but some of these were very large effects coming off that float. So it really did look like bombs going off. So you could see a lot of people very surprised when you were driving through the parade route. Yeah. Once they saw what it was a different story. But
yeah, nobody ran, nothing like that. So
not that I saw.
It was one of the most entertaining things of 2023, certainly. Yep. And I got to ask, go back to your 13-year-old days. Would you have ever thought you'd get to do something like that?
Not me.
No. When we first started out shooting fireworks together, it was, the big trip to Tennessee. You'd
right.
load the vehicles up, and you'd drive all that stuff back, and we would have it in boxes and
we ended up renting U-Haul trailers to go down there. The show got bigger every year, and that's when we actually, how we got into actual displays was one of the vendors we used to deal with in Tennessee started asking us why we're not licensed and buying the display fireworks, and we're really not interested in this. We're just having fun in the backyard. Yeah. Well, that went on for a couple of years, and then something changed our mind, and the first time we did it's like,
why not?
But the consumer fireworks are still a lot of fun. You can do a great show with the consumer fireworks. You know what you can buy at the stores. You can put on a heck of a, and a lot of people do. There's a lot of very impressive backyard fireworks displays that people put a lot of time and money into. But,
and hopefully safety.
And safety.
Yes, and we have several members in the club that they really just specialize in consumer fireworks displays. Mm-hmm. And they do a wonderful job of doing those displays. A couple of them participate in competitions around the country where they're just using consumer fireworks and putting on a choreographed display.
And they have come a long way since Doug and I started. Consumer fireworks, if they had the product they have now when we were doing our show, it might have been a lot longer before we stepped out to display shelves, because there's some pretty impressive product out there now.
Now, we need to congratulate Doug because he retires pretty soon. I got a feeling, is there going to be a celebration with some fireworks activity?
Yes, my retirement party will have a fireworks display.
Yeah, and we don't want this to happen too soon, but when they lay you guys to rest, can we shoot fireworks too?
Well, we did a show 2 years ago from one of our founding members, Bruce Blom, and his request, he did not want a funeral with a viewing. We did a memorial fireworks display, and we actually had a fireworks shell built with his ashes in it.
Oh my! So he was definitely part of the show.
This man,
Yes.
he was part of the National Pyrotechnic. He was a past president of the Pyrotechnic Guild International. Very well connected. He came in when Meade was still Meade, and we met Bruce, and he really took us several levels higher than we ever would have gone. But when he passed away, very beautiful show. We had videos from past shows and family members and friends, and it was. I was skeptical, but it was very touching. And when that last shell went off with Bruce's ashes in it, there were a lot of tears. I can tell you that.
Well, I imagine.
Yeah. So that was the first time. I always joked about when I die, just stuff me in a shell and shoot it. But now I might be serious. I mean,
I've already told Howlers, just wheel me in late, make sure everybody's sitting down because I'm always late to my own funeral, that kind of thing. So we'll see how that goes out. All right, coming up on July 4th, big giant show. It's going to happen here in Chillicothe. These are the guys, well, two of the guys that are helped make this happen this year. And thank you for your years of entertainment. And by the way, they have all their fingers, and that's good. And well, just wanted to get some proof there from Doug. But it's been a lot of fun watching your shows. And I'm telling you, Beyond the Flood Wall, if you want to see the show at its best, you got to go to the Flood Wall. Thanks for coming in today.
thank you, Dan.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Our buddies, Brian and Doug, ready to light you up. We'll see you again on July 4th with another edition of Litter Media Live.